Today I want to talk about a few of the books I've been reading recently. One is titled The Birth of Plenty, How Prosperity of the Modern World Was Created. The other book I read recently is one called The Agony of Argentine Capitalism. What a wonderful title, huh? What is it about Argentina's capitalism that has gone so wrong? And what is it about the birth of plenty that has gone so right? Well, I actually took The Birth of Plenty to Argentina I hadn't finished reading it, and when I was there, I showed the book to an Argentinian friend, and I listed the 4 or 5 items that are necessary for prosperity to occur. And he said of the 4 items listed in the book, Argentina just needs 4 of them. And that's a pretty sad statement, considering that in the 1920s, Argentina was one of the 6th or 7th largest economies in the world. And today, I don't believe it's in the top 50 economies in the world. So what's happened? Well, to understand what's happened to Argentina, we need to understand the birth of plenty. So the birth of plenty begins with property rights. Hugely important. We get our rights. We're descended from the rights of Englishmen and the Magna Carta and all that kind of stuff you read in history. Well, our unique set of property rights has allowed the English-speaking world to flourish in ways that the Spanish-speaking world doesn't, based on the form of government that Spain had and the exploitation that they had in Latin America versus what happened here in the U.S. But property rights are fundamentally important. And before I discuss the property rights in Argentina, let me just mention the tyranny of the commons. The tragedy of the commons. That was a 1968 article in a science magazine by an ecologist, I believe it was Garrett Hardin. But what he discusses is when people make rational choices with common lands, eventually herds of cattle or goats or whatnot will eventually deplete that common land. So it is actually property rights that will maintain and preserve the land for future uses. So understanding how important property rights are, we take a look at property rights in Argentina. Here I am at the YPF in Argentina, in a little town called Jujuy. See the lineup waiting to pump the gas. And when you have an opportunity to go to a town named Jujuy, you take that opportunity. So here we are, we're trying to get gas. You can see the lineup because there aren't very many gas stations. This gas station, YPF, is very interesting because a few months ago, the socialist president of Argentina took 51% of it. She nationalized this company. Now, many years ago, back prior to the 80s, it was a nationalized company. And in the early 90s, Menem, the president of Argentina, here, let me pull up. Menem privatized it, so he sold off the state's share of this company. And the current president said, well, they're not investing enough in Argentina. And of course, that's because they're not making any profits. Every time they make profits, the Argentine government takes those profits. So the Argentine government said, you're not investing enough, so we're going to take you over. And we'll see how that works out. The second item in the birth of plenty is scientific rationalism, or just the scientific inquiry, or how to build a better mousetrap, if you want to think of it that way. We have here many different types of coffee cups and coffee lids. This one here from a local steward shop has the something that gets snapped into place here. Fairly similar to our Dunkin' Donuts cup, which has another little tiny nugget of a thing here that has to get snapped in place, which is again a little bit different from McDonald's Corporation, which also has a little lid to get snapped in place so you can drink and drive. Though my favorite is this one here that has just a little hole. I don't have to snap anything. It's just big enough to sip out of. All those are unique, and they fill a little niche in the market depending on what you want. So the question is, how does Argentina handle it?
Okay, here we are at a rest stop in Argentina, internet cafe, so I can do a little computer, get myself a cafe con leche. But look at the top. Now they cut it here, I don't know why. They cut it right here, and they gave me a straw, but I don't really know why. There's no place to put the straw.
The birth of plenty is the capital markets. Now, we know all about going to a bank and borrowing money for a loan for a car or a house or whatever, student loans potentially. But in Argentina, capital is not that readily available. There's a lot of reasons why. I can't explain them in a 5-minute video. But let's just say capital is not available. So the question is, what happens to an economy? How do people live when capital is not readily available?
About many of these houses, even the ones that are not finished, people are living in because it takes so long to build them. Years to get the land, years to get the bricks, years to put the bricks together. So even an unfinished house becomes a livable house. And what a view.
Now the fourth item in the birth of plenty, I'm going to break into 2 items, because one involves transportation of goods and services, how to get from one place to another. In other words, infrastructure, roads, that sort of thing. It's important to understand, we know in America we have a beautiful interstate system that goes cross-country. You can get in a car basically and drive anywhere you want. But how is that in Argentina?
One of the things about Argentina that surprises me, how much dirt roads they have here. There's really very little pavement in this country, it seems. And when you think about the role of government, when we talk in America about the general welfare clause in the Constitution, and that is to provide for the general welfare of the people. And when they talked about general welfare, our founding fathers did not talk about socialized medicine and universal health care. They talked about roads and bridges. You can't be a productive society on dirt roads. That's just the way it is.
Dust everywhere.
Actually is information. The ability for information to be transported from one place to another readily and rapidly and accurately. That's important. Now today we look at the internet as the leveling of the playing field, and that's important because that is perhaps at this point one of the strongest items for Argentina. The playing field's getting level as the internet, satellite dish, and all that comes.
In this town we see lots of poor houses, but notice the satellite dish, even in this one here where it's a half-built home. There's an internet cafe, cyber cafe. There's hope for Argentina. They have civilization.